Hi, Andra.
Hi.
We usually have a co-maintainer George on a call, but he's not joining today. But we might have our mentee. Oh, there we go. Our mentee Nine is coming. Hi, Nine.
Hi, good afternoon,
Yeah. Hello. Welcome.
good morning.
All the possible combinations. For today, I believe it's just a good morning, good afternoon for you because we don't have a George. We don't have George, so it's just European counterparts.
Cool.
All right. Well, yeah. So today George is gonna be missing, so uh it's gonna be just three of us. So yeah, let's do it nevertheless. Give me just a few seconds. And we have Mira. Okay. Welcome, welcome. It's been a while seeing you around here. It's great.
Yeah, don't mind me. Just an observer.
Okay, as everyone at their will, you guys can feel free to be as interact as much as you like, or just listen and tune in. I believe we might be having some listeners afterwards on YouTube as well. This as somebody expressed the fact that these meetings are very hard to enter when you're from US. It's a very very early morning. What is it, 5 a.m. maybe in New York? Probably even earlier on the East Coast, on the West Coast. So anyway, give me just a short moment to set things up for myself here, and then we can get started. All right. So let's get into it. I'm gonna share my screen now. Thank you for bearing with me. Waiting for me setting all these up. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so welcome everyone to November 16, 2023, Aries-vcx community call. Cheers to everyone tuning in on YouTube later, perhaps as well. First of all, Hyperledger antitrust policy, as displayed on the screen, is in effect. And let's dive into our agenda. So first of all, a small announcement going forward, starting today. And therefore, November 16, we're gonna be having these Aries-vcx community calls happening on a bi-weekly basis. So the next meeting will be in 2 weeks on November 30th. Again, the usual time, Thursdays, 9 a.m. UTC. I put quite a lot of stuff in agenda. It's mostly like reviews kind of stuff. We don't have since we didn't have this call for 2 weeks already. This is after 2 weeks. So there's quite a bit of stuff to go through, what we have done since the last time we held this. And is there any amendment to the agenda? Anything you would like to append or discuss? Please let me know now. All right, I guess we don't have anything else, so let's just get started, go through all the points. Yeah, first I wanted to give a small heads up on yesterday's November 15th Aries war group call, which was interesting, especially in around half the call. In the second half of the call, there was a discussion about Aries RFCs, what belongs to them going forward and whatnot. There was currently Aries RFCs contains 2 categories, concepts and features. There was suggestion to create a new one for stuff like coordinated updates, or currently as LTS, long-term support, was being talked about as kind of a directive for recommendation for Aries projects. And yeah, so somebody came up with this idea to create a new category. Nevertheless, there was more interesting stuff than that. For example, in particular, what I was curious about was since DITCOM v2 is under decentralized foundation, what does it mean for credential issuance and presentation protocols going forward? Are those still going to reside under Aries RFCs, or are those going to be under div? And well, it wasn't not a huge discussion, but the answer I got from Sam was that it would likely be in a div community. So I know I have impression from yesterday that we should definitely watch out for what is watch out more for what's happening in div, as DITCOM v2 is there. Our direction is definitely DITCOM v2. In our midterm long-term horizon. So yeah, we should mingle around a bit, not just on these Aries war group calls and Aries community, but perhaps get to know some people from diff as well. So just heads up on this. Definitely recommending to go and have a look at that. Mentorship update. So we're gonna have. We don't have George on a call today, neither Swapnil, the mentee who's working the mobile UniFFI project, by Swapnil to present the UniFFI mobile project on November 29th, which is roughly in 2 weeks, as the next week is Thanksgiving in US. So next week, Aries war group call has been canceled, and therefore, on the closest next call, Swapnil will have airtime to present his work. Very cool stuff. I didn't. Yeah, I missed the Mediator project here, which is progressing very well. Right now, mostly busy with refactoring. I've put some of the items here. Nevertheless, for the sake of our usual mentorship format, Nan, would you like to give some sort of update, or how things are going, how you see things?
Sure, I can give a sorry. I can give a short sneak peek of like you've already mentioned some of the things that's happening. So last week we saw addition of the mediator coordination structures to the messages crate. So now the messages crate has both picker protocol and the mediation coordination protocol. It's complete. We also saw a move of the Aries agents to the Aries root directory. And also, like since we added the message mediation coordination messages to the messages crate, the mediator saw some refactoring to replace the internal types with the types that are introduced in the messages crate. This week, we'll be seeing further revamp of the mediation part of the mediator. We'll see addition of errors. Currently, the protocol handling is done in such a way that they return the message types directly. What we'll now see is they'll return a result with the message and a possible error. So this will see. So we'll see better error handling throughout the mediation logic. Also, the mediation logic will now be directly included in the mediator. Currently, we have it as a separate crate, but I'm refactoring that so that now it'll be all inside the mediator itself. Yes, so that's what we'll be looking forward to this week. Thanks. That's it.
Nice. Thank you very much. That sounds great. Looking forward for all this good stuff, all these goodies landing in our main branch. All right. So let's go through kind of the work overview, what we've done in the last 2 weeks since the last call. So we already went through some of these now, kind of touched on them. So we had a variety of PRs regarding to the mediator agent refactoring. Next up, we had some testing optimization by our new contributor Ondra, who is on a call. Shout out! Thanks a lot. Kudos for these initial PRs. So this makes things a lot easier for onboarding. Onboarding new people, as it's a common catch that people forget to provide a raster it's equals 1, and then things are failing and they don't know why. So now, since it's not needed, not only it's faster, it's also a lot friendlier for newcomers to come in and just run some tests. So that's great. Then we had we had a great fix regarding base64 padding / no padding decoding. So when we rewrote messages crate, there was a regression made such that we started to require padding in some of the base64 encoded elements, and as per the spec, it was something here, it was somewhere here, padding. As per the spec, the decoding function should correctly decode both padded and unpadded base64 URL data. So this is a fix for that. There is a bit more work outstanding here. George has created issue for this to address it somewhere else as well. But this is kind of George wants to give this issue to his intern, something like that. So we'll addressing that later on, but it's on the plan. Next up, we had mediation coordination messages chipped in by Nyan. Well, this is wrong link, apparently. Mediation messages. There we go. So we had this data model for all of the mediator mediation coordination messages added. So yeah, it's just place where it truly belongs with the usual format, the uniform approach we are using, rather than having it locally in a mediator, as it was placed there temporarily. So yeah, we have now mediation messages. Next on, we have some improvements on did parser, readme, and added example. I find this very important to do with all of our crates, to make it really nice and simple and friendly for people to come in and see, okay, I'll just copy paste this. I can start using it, although it's trivial and probably anyone can do this. Even stuff like this, I find it very important to be able to just come here, copy paste this with brain dead effort and just try it out. Same for examples. Having a place which demonstrates the usage of the crate in the most user-friendly way possible, and print out something. So that's what we're doing here. Even though we have tests, as it's a bit different than tests. And yeah, obviously description of some features, linking the RFCs. So I would like to have this for every single crate, in the repo, maybe except for some obscure internal ones which are deprecated or whatnot. But for anything we want to sort of advertise, like the deed parser, which is super useful component even outside of Aries ecosystem, we should be very, very friendly. Also, going forward, I think having the standard Rust docs for these kind of things, that would be awesome too. But this is a good start, and we have this now for a handful of crates. We should be adding more. All right. Lastly, we have got some cleanup in regards to out-of-band stuff. Remove a bunch of obscure methods which were not really used or needed. So some deletions in the delta here. About 300 lines of code dropped. It's always nice to see. Okay, and then in review, so coming to like important stuff, something discussion worthy, perhaps. We have a did exchange revival, which I was working on. This is passing actually. I marked it ready for review. Left a bunch of description here. I was not gonna go through all of that. It's ready here for review, and this is merging back to the original PR by Mira back from August. It took quite a lot of effort to rebase everything, sync up with all the changes. But yeah, it's passing now, so we can get this merged in, and then hopefully consequently get did exchange merged right after that as well. There's not really a reason not to do it. There's some depending.
Just a question regarding this PR that we just talked about. The base, it seems that the CI is not passing for some reason. So
it's
is that no, the base doesn't isn't passing, but that's probably not as relevant. But as I wanted to ask if you had any additions to the base as well, because
no. So yeah, it's impossible to look up, because I did rebases, then I resynced, and then in the end I had to squash it to make all the rebasing simpler. So this is just original state as you had it. I also I kept the copy of the original branch just in case, so it's somewhere out there, or I can, if needed, I can push it. But this is the original, no modifications.
Okay, that's good. Makes it easier.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so I guess we'll just have this reviewed if there's no further comments. Yeah, going forward, ongoing repo reorg. This is again sounds like okay, just like shuffling files around. I find it also very important. I see you left some comments here. A second, George pointed out, should this readme be deleted? Oh, okay. We left some file somewhere. I see. Is this crate? Oh, I can. That's a good point. I was, yeah, you are right. I think this is wrong. I think this should be taken out. So I'll address that. This might be also a good point. I think I got confused by the fact that it includes VCX in the name. So I thought like it's VCX, but we might be using it elsewhere too. So fair points.
And another question in the comment above regarding the messages crates, which by that I mean the messages, the core crate, and the messages macros, which should be probably grouped together as well.
Oh, yeah.
Were they not like were they not grouped because there's some work ongoing, or?
Yeah. So it right now I think we can add it. Just before I couldn't because Nyan had some PRs, or, the addition of the message types, so I didn't want to mess it up. But now I think there's no more work ongoing with the messages itself, so we can add messages and messages macros under Aries as well. All right, yeah, great point. I'll address this and then we can hopefully get this merged. Yeah, I find it very, I was wanting to say, underline that I find this also very important from like adoption perspective. Equally, it's kind of like same topic as those examples and onboarding. What I really want to communicate us here is that it's not just that we do Aries, which what the name of the repo suggests is that we are doing Aries. We do Aries, but we also do a bunch of other stuff. And these kind of things can be adopted elsewhere outside of Aries context. So yeah, that's the main idea here.
Another important thing for adoption would be probably to actually publish these crates to crates.io.
Yeah, 100% correct. I actually also kind of put that somewhere here on the agenda. I wanted to discuss that, so we can just do it as well now. I totally agree, and I think it would make sense to have like separate versioning. I'm not sure for necessarily each of these, but at least kind of group together like did stuff could have a version and maybe a separate CI. So if you make a modification to dit peer, that you would only run the CI for the for dits. Oh wait, no, that would have to actually trigger rerun for everything because the other stuff is dependent on that. But yeah, I'm not sure. But I know Nayan adopted this nice thing that she has separate CI for mediator. And when you do modification mediator, it's a little different case. I was just thinking though that if it makes sense, it's an open question. If it makes sense to have I guess separate CI. I'm not sure about the answer to that since the rest of the stuff is dependent on it. Maybe not really, or maybe it's possible.
You mean like a separate workflow, or?
Yeah. That's what.
Yeah. That's necessary. But regarding versioning, I would definitely have each crate have different or its own version. I don't see a reason why they should share it. They are not meant to be used as a package together necessarily.
That's true. Yeah, well, I guess for starter, mainly start versioning those which would start publishing, but we need to do that publishing work first. So there will be some CL work, and I guess maybe in that process we'll figure out whether we shall or shall not use some separate workflows. So yeah, I'll start versioning these, start publishing these, at least I don't know, pick one and get that on Crates.io, and that will be a good start. And then I guess copying that approach for the other crates will be rather straightforward afterwards.
Yeah, it would actually be beneficial probably to add some more documentation before we publish it as well, which documentation is mostly missing right now.
Yep, indeed. Okay, I think we'll get back to this a little bit more towards the end. But to finish this in the review section, so there's also ongoing, or well, I would say in review / in progress, PR by George about the issuance v2 protocols. So lots of discussion happening here already. I think right now it's pending on George to address, because I left here a review 2 weeks ago, and yeah, it needs to be iterated on. So anyway, feel free to have a look at it and leave your comments as well, or discuss on our communication channels your ideas. We don't have a George today, so I'll just skip over this, pass over this quickly. And we have interesting stuff in progress right now. We are started looking into Aries-vcx wall implementation, just kind of discovery / research phase, what it actually entails. And this is being worked on by Ondra. Hi, Ondra. Would you like to give a short brief, briefly share your findings so far, how it's going, and what's how is Askar?
Hey, so it's in its initial phases. I started looking into how Askar works, what it offers, what interfaces it exposes, and so far I've been able to initialize the Askar wallet and started creating keys in there. So the main focus right now is somehow to sum up or write up these initial discoveries and decide actually how we want to interact with Askar and what features do we want to expose and what workflows we want to support with Askar. So I think that will be the next steps.
Sounds good. That makes sense. And yeah, I'm very excited about this. Looking forward to once we migrate. So I guess this might really be like quite a few stages of implementation right now. Kind of the research, then the implementation, and then possibly we'll have to quite likely also figure out some sort of migration from VDR tools wallet to Askar, and we did a wallet migration in the past, so the pattern we have might be reused. I think it will need some tweaks, but yeah, I guess other than the research and the implementation and perhaps some further in between phases, what I know for sure that the last phase will be probably migration from the VDR tools wallet. This epic, I would say, can take quite a while, or quite a like a few iterations back and forth. But we'll see. Let's see how this goes. Approaching the end of agenda little by little, just going quickly through what is planned. So I see these things, CIs for these components and the repo reorganization is quite important. Versioning to communicate with the rest of the world that we have these other components which can be reused. In conjunction with that, I think we have agreed internally that some changes should be done to the AD document, mainly the removal of generics, which doesn't quite fit some use cases, and it can be limiting in a way. So I have that piece kind of started. It's not landed in repo yet. And that will also impact in did soft crate, which is largely based on the document, which was generic and basically is helping out to deal with that generics. So I'm not sure exactly what did soft crate did involve into. Nevertheless, I think we still should be codifying the information about the DITSOF service, like DITSOF service structures somewhere. So that might be might be what's going to be left there. And then after that, I would like to go on with DIT-PO4 implementation, which is quite frankly very simple. It's just described somewhere here. It's and it's been open. We keep mentioning DIT-PO4 for a very long time, even though I keep saying that it's simple. It's just that I want to get these things with the kind of baseline components, like the document, cleared up first before I actually start doing DIT-PO4, or if somebody else picks it up. As DIT-PO4 is using DIT docs in its implementation heavily. It's the base component is the DIT dog. So just want to get the document in the best, most developer-friendly state as possible before actually doing this. And finally, with DIT-PO4, with having DIT-PO4 eventually in the repo, we can then build it into DIT exchange and proceed with interrupt testing on an AATH and all that good stuff. I think if this gets done like by the end of the year, I mean, honestly, like these first two items with the repo structure and the DIT document and DIT-PO4, DIT exchange, that would be a great target, I think, for the end until the end of the year to get these things done. And as I put here also, I keep mentioning it, just kind of to keep it in attention of all of us. DITCOM v2, I know it would be great to have some POC start playing with it. There's other DITCOM v2 implementations in Rust available. Maybe look at those a bit closer, see if we can reuse them or not. So yeah, maybe if we dab into this by the end of the year, just a little bit, just dip our toes, that would be also nice to have. And yeah,
I have a question. What is the status of the refactored interfaces draft? And doesn't it overlap with the Aries-ASCAR wallet implementation?
Yes, it does. And I can tell a good question, because this was not discussed like on this call before, since Bogdan left, he didn't have opportunity to go over this on the call. But yeah, so this is definitely useful info for Ondra. I kind of didn't want to necessarily I don't know, point this out to keep Ondra focused, I guess, narrowed down, but eventually anyway, we would have to go over this. So we have this PR of refactored primitive interfaces. So on Ondra, this is mainly for you now, a little overview. What's some other initiative that has been done, but at the same time, I think you shouldn't concern too much. So like you do your thing without too much consideration of what was done before. you do your work, maybe some initial implementation, then we can later on, when deems is appropriate, take a step back, look at this other initiative which has been done, and see how to perhaps leverage it on how to inspire ourselves from this approach, and even decide whether we want to take something out of this. So this was more like a POC, an attempt to do something. So what is this doing was was refactoring all of the traits in the Aries-vcx core trait. And there's three main traits which are implemented in Aries-vcx core, that being the wallet, the base wallet interface. Now, I don't know if I can find the implementation already. No, so this is right. I can't find the original here. So let me open up my my IDE real quick. So currently, yeah, there's the three main components in Aries-vcx core are wallet, ledger, and anocrats. The other directories here are just supporting these three. So starting with the wallet, and most relevant to this discussion right now, we have a base wallet, which kind of defines these operations. The kind of a pain working with this and possibly implementing this for different wallets is that it was scattered very much for the VDR tools wallet. It operates on this kind of untyped string basis. So whatever implementation now you want to do ASCAR implementation, let's say, you start implementing this interface, and maybe with, I don't know, maybe with ASCAR, you have a typed IDs. It's not necessarily strings, but you have some sort of custom Rust type for IDs, or for like whatever else, for arguments which you want to use for lookups. So, X type, ID, options, this was made for VDR tools. I don't know how well is this mapping to the stuff which is in the ASCAR wallet. Maybe ASCAR has different way of thinking, of fetching these records, and maybe it has some sort of options too, but then this interface is forcing you to serialize that into string. Then you will likely deserialize it back to whatever type in the actual underlying implementation, which is plainly like it's not justified, it's not efficient to keep doing this serialization, deserialization in the memory, just because the interface is not well designed and it's forcing you to pass in strings. So maybe I wonder, what's your thoughts on this? Just ask, I guess, throwing a question right now. I don't know, have you run into, from your research so far, into some kind of realization or some issue that like, oh, I'm forced to pass strings everywhere, but I would rather pass in a custom type? Have you run into something like that yet? Or maybe you're not in that phase yet.
Yeah, definitely. There were some cases where I would much rather prefer to have an enum and pass that into the function than just a string. Also, because I wasn't sure what the string is supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. So those are those issues. Exactly, those are those issues and things which Bogdan wanted to kind of address. And this is the problem, and that's the problem you are having right now. So maybe it's really just the right time to introduce you to this, to existence of this initiative and effort, so you can draw possible inspiration here, or maybe even decide to actually take a step back from the ASCAR implementation, leave it for later, and just redo the interfaces first, so it would be easier to implement ASCAR in the first place. So roughly the approach taken here is Bogdan has created a new trait. He took this kind of addition kind of strategy, less disruptive. So all things still exist and work, but he's drafted a new version of these traits. Then obviously there will be still work to actually plug these traits into the rest of the code base, and given these traits are a bit different, that will be still a big epic to do. But maybe with these interfaces, with these changes, it might be easier to implement ASCAR for these interfaces here, rather than the existing base wallet, which is very much string based. So it's your call. You can go back and forth, try this and that. Now, going again, I guess, to the bit of the technicalities. So as you can see, the approach taken here is this trait is defined very generally. It doesn't dictate a particular types for what this function should be taken, but rather defers that decision what the, for example, you want to update some record. Okay, what is that record? Is it a string? Is it a custom type? What type is it? We can't know, right? Because the underlying wallet implementation, they have their own types, and we don't know what it's gonna be. So that's the rationale for using associated types, to let the implementer of the trait to decide what the wallet record actually is, because we have no way of knowing. And that's the kind of main idea taken here. This is the same thing for the record and some other stuff in a record reference. I guess that's more perhaps for optimization reasons. And the search filter, I guess that's also used somewhere, and that was string before. So I can imagine space for more of these. For example, here, the pack message is using strings as well for keys. Maybe the underlying implementation might be actually using some keys type. I don't know. So yeah, there's a var key here. Messages are generally some slices. I guess it makes sense. But yeah, perhaps there might be even more of these associated typing. So Ondra, have a look at this. I think it's a write down, and then you can see how that's going to be useful for you and what's the approach you want to take. Now, this PR also is touching on the other traits, and I would say, so let me go through ledger trait. I think this is not actually much of a enrichment. Ultimately, this is just what's drafted here as this ledger 2 trait. This is just an existing ledger submitter, but with associated types on it. So this is really nothing new. There's not much work done here in terms of the ledger trait. It's pretty much what we have already, just slightly different, but very slightly. So the ledger is not so interesting here, but rather the CredX, that's probably the most complex piece of the PR. So with CredX, that's the third main component in the Aries-vcx core trait. We have currently base AnonCreds trait, which has all of these AnonCreds related operations you would typically do either from perspective of issuer, verifier, a credential holder, so on. So stuff like verifying proof, creating credential definition, all these AnonCreds operations. And basically important to note that the clean crypto operations only know or limited wallet agnostic operations for these are in the CredX libraries, or the AnonCreds RS library. What these methods really do is the logic they pretty much contain is that they glue together the AnonCreds library, AnonCreds implementation with the wallet storage. So it's very common case that after you do some sort of AnonCreds credential operation, you also want to do something with the wallet. You want to create credential definition and you want to store the keys in the wallet, or you receive credential and you store it into wallet. Stuff like this. You're issuing credential, you typically have to store some updated accumulator or delta or revocation delta or whatnot into the wallet. So this interface is meant to combine the underlying AnonCreds library with whatever wallet the user is using. And now, as it stands today, the existing implementation is using Credex library, and it is using VDR Tools wallet. Well, no, not necessarily VDR Tools wallet. It's using the base wallet interface. So it's relying on these strings. Well, the base wallet interface as we've seen it. As far as that interface is implemented, with whatever implementation, be it ASCAR or whatnot, this implementation for Credex will keep working. Now, so in the PR, the Credex. I need to take a step back before I go on. We have a Andre drop because of some stuff at home, but he can still review this in the recording. So I'll still go on with explanation, and I'm sure it'll be useful for you guys too. Bogdan gave me overview before he left, so I'll just passing the message. So the thing with the Credex implementation is the current AnonCreds implementation is that it's using the Credex library in particular, and there's other libraries such as AnonCreds RS, which we are planning to adopt in favor of Credex in the future. And those libraries, when they work, let me see, when those libraries work, those libraries typically have functions like verify presentation and make a revocation registry, for example. The Credex library is using some sort of ID type for revocation registry, and then I guess we end up storing that in the wallet. And so if you then try to implement this with AnonCreds, the typing will be a little bit different. The library is using different types. We'll end up storing different types in the wallet as well. And if you don't want to have a plain, strings all over the place, which also might be a reasonable compromise, just to go with a decision like, okay, as far as IDs go, we just work with strings. I think that would maybe be okay, maybe not. We learn more of that as we try to implement AnonCreds. That would be.
We thought that with data as well.
Yeah, did as well. So yeah, Bogdan wanted to in this PR is trying to tackle these complexities with this as all different associated types for everything that these functions are interacting with, and then the implementer have to decide basically the specific types, but I guess let's see, we had here in the old implementation, we have the revocation registry ID type and received from the credits library. So I guess by the if we try to implement this with with the credits, then you pass that credits type in. If you do this for anon creds, you would pass in the whatever registry ID anon creds, whatever registry ID type is anon creds R is using. And so yeah, you would still get to use the typing from the underlying library. And then basically there's some craziness going on here with the trade bounds, basically integrating the typing, the ID, wallet record typing, the associated typing of the wallet with the types defined in the anon creds, in this anon creds trade. So it's looking quite complex. It's quite smart. I'm not sure. I don't have like clear opinion if this is good approach or if it's too complex for little benefit or if it's worth it. I'm really not sure, but it's there out for at least inspiration and consideration going forward. I think as we work on the base wallet now, we don't have to go to like this degree of complexity yet, but maybe down the road, I'm not sure. Maybe once we start to actually implementing support for anon creds RS, we'll have updated base wallet trade, maybe we'll end up with something similar. I'm not sure, but this is what it is.
Is there a rationale for the wallet trade to support besides the operations that you would expect, reading from wallet, writing from wallet, writing wallet records? There are also operations like packing and unpacking, signing and verifying, creating DITs. I'm wondering whether operations like this should not be covered by a different trade.
Yeah, that's a good note. It is interacting with the wallet. It's obviously reading internal data, because maybe this might be also big difference between ASCAR and VDR tools, I suppose. Because VDR tools doesn't let you pull out private keys from the wallet, but as far as I know, and I might be wrong, ASCAR lets you, if you really want to, you can get the private keys and work with them. So that could have impact on design these. Technically, I guess with VDR tools, like you wouldn't be able to implement it outside of this kind of interface or outside of the wallet module itself, because you wouldn't be able to access those keys. But maybe with ASCAR, if you can fetch the keys, then peg message could be implemented elsewhere, indeed. So it's a design consideration. Good point. Good point. Now, that being said, I'm not sure what's the right approach, but it's definitely possible with ASCAR, I think. Is this a fair overview of the work done here?
Yeah, I think so. Regarding this operation, I would probably, if ASCAR allows, I would put them separately.
Okay, I'll see. Let's see also Ondra's take on this. All right, and his findings. So that brings us to the end. We have 5 more minutes, and there's this fun item here at the discussion. I just want to initiate. I'm really not sure about it. or like keep trickling around my brain every once in a while recently is, given the restructuring, of the repo and kind of profiling, pivoting to be also useful outside of Aries and having wider range of scope. I'm questioning if Aries-vcx is good name of the repository. And Aries-vcx, the crate can still stay. That's Aries-vcx is Aries-vcx, but it feels like the repo itself, it's not the Aries-vcx crate only anymore. It's like one of our first-class citizens, but maybe not the only one. I have no idea what the repo name could be. So, I don't know, thoughts on this?
Well, are we even sure what's actually the scope of our repo? Like, how far are we willing to go? Are we going to, for example, go the AFJ route and support OIDC? Like,
I think not for now, but I wouldn't say it's impossible in the future. But for now, yeah, it's DID, the document, as a kind of a core components. I would like to widen adoption, because these things are like re-implemented in every DITCOM related project. And I think we have maybe I'm biased because we do it, but I think they are good. I think they are nice ones. Well done. Also, I haven't seen any well, I'm not aware of like other DID kind of parsers like we have. So for now, this would be the scope. Maybe in the future, who knows? Maybe even like other way of transporting credentials, like OID4VC or CHAPI or something else. I guess not for now, but we don't say it's impossible in the future.
Yeah, we should be aware of take the future into account as well. We don't want to be renaming the rep all the time.
Yeah,
especially as we get more traction.
Yeah, because if we rename it to something DITCOM something, then
yeah, exactly.
Then if we do OpenID4VC, then we'll have to rename again, right? So it's not good.
Well,
yeah, so I guess just a food for thought. If you folks have any ideas for what would be good and future proofed name would be, let us know, communicate it somewhere, and then we can consider that. All right. I think this is it. We filled exactly 1 hour, pretty much, 1 minute short, but can wrap it up. So thank you, folks. Well, before we wrap up, just to make sure, any other comments, questions, thoughts on any of the stuff which was talked about, or anything you might possibly have and you want to add, chip into the meeting?
Is there like a central authority or like a central working team for all of these things that we do? Aries, SSI, credentials, and all of this?
There's not. It's that's, I guess, in some sense, beauty and the chaos. So there's no central authority. It's just like all happening organically. There's different verifiable credentials families. There's like a 2 dimensions to the whole thing. So you have, you can imagine on 2 axes. On one axis, you have different credential types. You have anon creds, you have JSON-LD credentials, JOT credentials, other types of credentials I don't even know. And then that's one axis. And then on the other axis, you have the transport So you have Aries as a Aries/DITCOM as a transport. It's the means of communicating these credentials and presenting them. So Aries and DITCOM, that's one way of doing the transport. Another way is OpenID for VC, essentially. And another way, which I know very little about, is CHAPI, just something in some sort of browser. I'm not sure. I might be talking out a way here. It's some sort of browser, I don't know, it's kind of browser-based transport, like you hold credentials, I think, in your browser, some secret storage, and then you can, there's some sort of transport defined how to move those on a server side. So I would rather study up on this a bit. My talking nonsense. But so my idea is, they have these two axes, and you can have various combinations you can do, and not necessarily today, but in the future you might be doing exchanging anon creds over OpenID for VC. I think there is some work being done at this point, just a research, but people are looking into that, if it's possible, how that would be done. Or on the contrary, Aries protocols already support transferring different types of credentials other than anon creds. So you can have issuance, you credentials, not anon creds, which is anon creds are kind of native to the Hyperledger, like a community. But you can also do non-anon creds credentials over Aries. And so you have these different, groups. Some groups concerned about credentials, some groups concerned about, transports. Usually these groups have like the favorite from each group. Like in Hyperledger, we do pretty much like mostly interested in anon creds and DITCOM. And then you have, OpenID for VC, they do obviously OpenID for VC, but from their perspective, it's easier to do like JSON-LD or JWT credentials. So they mostly use that. But I believe in the future, it'll be more combination. You'll have this whole matrix of, combinations and application which supports this and that protocol and credential type. So it's very, I mean, we try to organize ourselves, but in all those different working groups. But if you want to have like really great, overview of what's happening, there's no particular person you can go, or group you can go and ask, but rather you have to attend different groups, find out which are the relevant for you, for what you are interested in and what you're concerned about, and then be active in those groups and catch up with what's going on there. And there's also carry. That's something a little bit different. That's more related to the DIT methods, but nevertheless, that's kind of, again, another, group, another community. So
that community is Trust over IP, which is another organization, another tangentially related organization, which has much broader scope than the 2 dimensions that you just outlined. Just they have stated intent of like their scope is the entire internet. So they have.
Yeah, the TOIP.
Yes, Trust over IP.
But so Stephen and others also, like, they're part of that, right?
Stephen, part of.
So
I don't
anon
know.
creds, etc., are part of TOIP. Like I thought that TOIP itself kind of diverged into all of these different projects.
What is the history? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. Like I mean, I was just browsing the net for TYP related material, and it seems like around 2018-19, the updates from the TYP website start lessening, and you see more of other groups being more active, stuff like that. I mean, I'm not sure either. It just seemed that way.
Yeah, it's you see what you guys got yourself into this giant mess. So you have to catch up with all these communities, and it's challenging, honestly, to know what is happening, because the SSI space is like very dynamic and still evolving. So it's challenging, but it's fun too. And there's lots of stuff, interesting stuff happening, different people having novel ideas, and everybody trying to ultimately, I guess, converge to like the best solution, kind of a evolutionary method, right? Like you have different species, and they evolve and somewhat intermingle over time, and ultimately you are like left out with the whatever was deemed to be like the best combination of all those things, and involvement given all the business requirements from different organizations and use cases. So the landscape now is a very different what it was even 3 years ago, and I think in 3 years time it's gonna be again different. Maybe different groups gonna have like different kind of a, I don't know, strength or like uh authority or adoption. So yeah, we'll see.
Own niche.
Sorry.
Like different groups might get into their own niche where their solution works the best.
Yeah, also could be that. Yeah. Um,
Is DIF part of Hyperledger, or is it like a totally independent organization?
a DIF is part of Linux Foundation. It's not Hyperledger,
Okay.
but it's still kind of brotherish organization, I suppose. A sibling. Yeah, so Ditcom V2 is under DIF.
I
So
see.
it's kind of
So is Aries like being replaced by DIF? Like, is that how things are moving? I mean, like,
you
I didn't
know
understand how
No,
there's two
so
different.
it's not quite. I see where you're coming from when you say that, but it's not quite a valid statement, because Aries is a project, is particular project in the Hyperledger, and DIF is foundation, just like Hyperledger Foundation. So Aries cannot be replaced by DIF. But what is happening, and what I think that's what you're kind of pointing out, is the fact that the next evolution, basically, a Ditcom v1, what we are using today, and many companies are using in practice, in production today, is Ditcom v1. Well, yeah, Ditcom v1 was evolved kind of in the basically as a combination of a variety of Aries RFCs. So those Aries RFCs collectively kind of build up together the Ditcom v1, and then when they as community went on with defining Ditcom v2, that kind of got moved under DIF, Decentralized Identity Foundation. So, and from what I learned yesterday, it seems like the v3, the kind of next generations of the protocols, for example, for credential exchange, those might be under the DIF, but really practically doesn't really matter to us. We can, and I guess maybe it'll be a question of how to do the naming and branding in the future. Right now, not a huge concern. Practically, we'll just now we are implementing issuance credential v2 protocol. Later, we'll implement probably credential issuance and presentation v3, and maybe the v3 will be defined under diff. but it's, you know, it's just the next protocol, just the next implementation. So it's kind of this all these organizations and groups involvement goes certain way, and this is just as it happened to be. So
yeah, like some of the projects under Aries are moving away. So the problem there to many people is that Aries is a project under Hyperledger, which also hosts projects for corporate ledgers, which rubs some people the wrong way. So it seems to be that there seems to be some kind of dissolution from Aries to under different umbrellas. FJ is moving under Open Wallet Foundation, for example, which is another foundation we haven't mentioned yet. Yeah, so who knows how long will Aries stay? That's probably the concern there.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, Aries as it is will stay as it is, but yeah, the next involvement.
Oh yeah, what will be evolution like?
Yeah,
its Convito is already hosted elsewhere, so
yeah.
What will be left of Aries?
Yeah, but it's more of a branding, I guess. Like, okay, like if Aries stopped existing, it, you know, it stopped being developed, it'll be just like ultimately that thing, the DITCOM stuff and the anon credits, you know, that's the actual terms we care about, and those will continue to be, you know, developed, whether it's under DIF or Open Wallet Foundation or not. We'll just keep building.
Like the community is still growing. It's not going anywhere.
That being said, we currently just a general statement also is we have no plans right now to move from Hyperledger to any other foundation. We are happy. I know, for now, yeah. I don't know, maybe if Akapai decides to move and AFJ already moved, then who knows? But yeah, for now we don't have any plans to, I don't know, change foundations or anything like that. Happy with Hyperledger. All right. We stretched it out 15 minutes, but it's good. I think it was a good and useful discussion, and it was very good questions, really. I think these things, it's great if you guys all have like understanding of this and how the community works and what are all these foundations. So to kind of be able to orient yourself in the landscape, it's going to be complex. So with that said, thank you so much for staying this long, and have a great rest of the week. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.